Okay, so what are the causes of socialism? Socialism and communism will be a result of the poor working conditions. What develops as a result of the Industrial Revolution is a large gap between the wealthy and the poor. And what happened is the wealthy during the Industrial Revolution were getting wealthier and the workers were struggling. So as a result, you're going to get a new economic idea develop, socialism, and it will eventually lead to capitalism. The effect of the gap between the wealth and the poor was these new ideas, basically communism and socialism. Socialism first, then communism. Socialism, let's have the government run things. Communism, literally getting rid of the class system. Those will develop as the new ideas to fix that huge gap between the rich and the poor. The socialist believed that that government should own the means of production. So they should own the factories. The government should set the wages. The government should invest in business. And the purpose of this would be to operate for the welfare of everyone. That everyone would be taken care of in this socialist system. They also believed, one of the things that we've talked about is the business cycle. The fact that economies do well and then they crash, and then they do really well, and then they crash. Well, they believe that if the government planned the economy, you would end those highs and lows, because when you were in a period of depression or economic recession, with a planned economy, it wouldn't be as big, or it wouldn't be as prevalent. Because remember, during recessions and depressions, the government it is the poorer people who are hurt more. The socialists also believe that the free market, that idea that Adam Smith brought about with capitalism, that competition between countries and between businesses actually make the economy function and make things better. Well, the socialists are saying no. Competition actually hurts the worker, because when you drive down prices, you also drive down wages. They believed with the government planning the economy and the government owning the key industries, they would be able to make sure that no poverty would exist, that you would be able to take these workers and they would be able to function in society, and you wouldn't have that large gap between wealth and poor that had developed. There is a video that I would like you to watch, so please hit pause on this. If you hit this link, it will take you to a YouTube video about Karl Marx. I would like you to watch that video. As soon as Karl Marx is finished, when he starts talking about Christopher Columbus, please hit stop and then return to this video. Karl Marx is a radical socialist. A radical means extreme socialist. He thinks that government ownership is not far enough. It won't solve that great gap that is occurring between rich and poor in society. Karl Marx believes history moves through stages. You're going to go through capitalism, you're going to then follow with socialism, and your final stage will be communism. And he writes about that final stage. His famous book is the Communist Manifesto. The Communist Manifesto he wrote with Friedrich Engels. It is a very, very thin book. It is well written. It is made to apply to the masses. One of the most famous quotes from that book is, "Workers, throw off the chains that bind you." He also wrote his second book, 2 volumes, is Das Kapital. He wrote that one by himself. The Communist Manifesto he wrote with Friedrich Engels. It's less than 100 pages. Das Kapital, oh my God, it's dense. It's very difficult to read. If you can't sleep, read Das Kapital. In his Communist Manifesto, he told the workers, his famous quote, "Unite and throw off the chains that bind you." Marx believed that what happens with human beings is they are engaged in a struggle for survival. And it's always the haves versus the have-nots. Those who own the wealth, those who do not. For him, his two classes are the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. The bourgeoisie are your doctors, your lawyers, your factory owners, your bankers. The proletariat are his hero class. They are the workers, the ones who work with their hands. Marx believes that the bourgeoisie, this middle class, this factory owners, are sucking the lifeblood out of the proletariat. He actually calls the proletariat a parasite. And what he believes is that while the proletariat is doing all the work, the bourgeoisie is living off of the proletariat. He's taking his lifeblood. What he's seen with the Industrial Revolution, because remember, he's writing at a time when there is a huge gap between rich and poor. What Marx is seeing is the bourgeoisie is enslaving or hurting the proletariat. So as a result, Marx believes that the proletariat should rise up. And this isn't a nice revolution. This is a bloody revolution. Remember, Marx is writing after the time of the French Revolution, and he thinks that this revolution should be violent. When Marx creates his system, he believes that capitalism, with its constant competition, will eventually destroy itself. He also believes that only a small number of people would control the wealth, and this competition for wealth would cause capitalism to fall. He believes that you're going to end up with a large proletariat, large working class, and a small bourgeoisie, probably less than 2% of the population. But the thing is, this revolution is to be a worldwide revolution, and that's a very big key, this worldwide revolution. And after this revolution, the proletariat will take control of the factories, of the capital, of the natural resources, of the raw materials, the means of production, and they will produce only what society needs. They're not going to produce luxury items. No Xboxes, no dishwashers. All your clothes are going to be the same because you don't need these luxuries. And when our workers share in the profits, it's going to bring economic equality. Everybody is equal. Everybody will have the same house. Everybody will have the same car. Everybody will have everything they need, and it will be exactly. However, Marx knows that this is an adjustment, and what he has is a dictatorship of the proletariat. He has this idea that what's going to happen is the proletariat will need to be guided by this group of intellectuals. And this will be the dictatorship of the proletariat. And this is what Lenin and Mao and Castro, this is when you see communism today, this is what they claim they are in. Of course, we can see that this is not the case. During this dictatorship, you will have, the people will live happily, will receive the same education, same living conditions, with the idea that you eventually will lose class. Classes will cease to exist in a Marx society. Communism, a couple things to remember. No private ownership. Because he goes back to Locke, the only purpose of government is property. If you don't have property, you don't need government. He believes that everything is shared equally. Everybody has equal access to all goods and services. And he's going to inspire revolutions, which they are going to call these communist revolutions. In fact, if you look at Marx's theory, they are not communist revolutions because they don't follow exactly what Marx had wanted. Marx failed for a number of reasons. First of all, he thought economics drove everybody. That's not what happens. Other factors drove everybody. He wasn't expecting, he thought people cared more about class than they did nations. Well, we look at this idea of nationalism, pride in the Olympics. Just look at the pride in one's nation, nationalism. Just look at the Olympics today. The Caps fans who love Alexander Ovechkin are rooting against him because he plays for Russia. So this idea that nation became more important. Religion was more important than economics. He didn't take any of these into consideration. Also, what Marx didn't realize is the government and unions came in and people adapted and people pushed for reforms. They ended child labor, they increased wages, they increased safety conditions. So Marx's big gap never formed. And as a result, while we say that they are communist countries, they are not, and we have found that Marxist, as I mentioned in the video, Marxist economics fails miserably.